system. We won a law that is the strongest in the country to protect Uber and Lyft drivers against these unfair firings, which the fancy word for the gig economy are called deactivations. But Uber and Lyft, after fighting in City Hall for 3 long years, after the City Council passing a fair and decent law to protect the workers of this industry, these two companies then turned around and sued the city in federal court to stop the law. Shame on Uber and shame on Lyft. All that we're calling for is a basic sense of due process, where if you are accused of wrongdoing, that you maintain your right to defend yourself, that you as a worker are given notice before your job is taken away from you. These are basic rights that every worker in our country needs and deserves, but especially for Uber and Lyft drivers who pay for the expenses to go to work every day. That means when they're left jobless, they're still paying for $60,000 to $80,000 car loans, basically out of pocket because there's no income coming in. And this is a workforce that is serving the public, subject to racist and biased allegations and complaints, which Uber itself has admitted in other studies. A workforce that is sometimes subject to complaints that are motivated by getting discounts or refunds on the trip, something that Uber itself has admitted. And yet they continue to fight to have total domination over the drivers. That, brothers and sisters, is what this fight is about. Uber is lying and claiming that under the law, they will no longer be able to deactivate drivers who have committed or accused of having committed serious offenses. It is a lie. Under the law, if a driver is accused of a gross violation, an egregious misconduct, the companies do not have to give you a notice. They can deactivate you immediately. However, they must then give you your right to defend yourself. They must tell you what you're accused of, what is the evidence against you, and give you your day in court, where you could go to a city agency or an arbitrator or a state court or federal court in order to defend yourself. And the fact is, throughout all these years, drivers have not been able to go to court, not only because no law exists to stop these unfair deactivations, but also because in the contracts, Uber and Lyft bind you to arbitration. And in these arbitrations, for Uber, you cannot even raise the issue of these deactivations as a violation, to bring up in arbitration. So basically, they fire you, and then they gag you, and then they starve you, and then they toss you out, regardless of the years that you have worked on this job, regardless of how many people you have served, how many people you have brought safely to their homes, and regardless of how much money you have made for these companies through all these years. You could have worked for Uber and Lyft for 10 years with a spotless record, and within a second, and without even a moment's notice, they will discard you as if you never existed at all for them. So, brothers and sisters, this is a fight about civil rights and due process. This is a fight about economic justice and basic survival, and this is fundamentally a fight for the rights of working people to have an economy where the companies do not believe that they can completely dominate over the lives of the workers who make them their riches. This is a fight about rights. It is a fight community. We ask you to join us in this fight. We know that Uber and Lyft will always find ways to come after us. With every one step we take forward, they try to push us backwards. But we're here to say to Uber, as they sit in their fancy air-conditioned offices in that building, that we will not back down. We are here to say to Uber, as they sit in that fancy air-conditioned office, that ours is a fight for righteousness, for truth, for fairness, for justice, and for survival. And ours is a fight that every single day gets stronger and more powerful and more capable of beating back these companies and their greed. Eventually, brothers and sisters, regardless of the money that these companies throw around, regardless of the games that they play, we will win. So,
we will win! We will win!
We will win. So, I know one of the reasons we will win is because throughout this 3-year fight, we have had a city council champion in our councilman, our brother, Shekar Krishnan, who has continued to have our back, who has put truth to power, grilling these companies at the public hearings, and standing unequivocally and unshakably on the side of the drivers. And again today, we have the honor to be next to our councilman, our brother. And so now I turn over to the honorable councilman, our brother, Shekar Krishnan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. Namaste. It is so good. As you look behind you here, you see New York City represented. You see every worker, every immigrant who has pushed this city forward, sacrificing so much from their family, from themselves, to move our city forward. And that is why we say loud and clear, no driver, no Uber. No driver, no Uber. No driver, no Uber. No driver, no Uber. It is an honor, brothers and sisters, to fight by your side. You all give me the inspiration every day to keep fighting, to see your work, your sacrifice. That is how we won. That is how we will win again. So thankful that we are out here today, showing Uber the driver movement we have created. It's the money versus the many. The corporate power versus the people power. And I feel very confident that we know who is going to win.
That's right.
We don't just say we will win. We will win again. And again. And again. Over and over again, Uber and Lyft have thrown everything at us. They have tried to block our legislation. They have gotten a former mayor, Eric Adams, to veto our legislation. But every time we have stood up, we have fought back, and we have won. We have prevailed, and we shall prevail. As I've said consistently throughout our fight for basic drivers' rights, these drivers, shame, Uber, shame on Uber. But no matter the lies they told, our drivers kept driving and delivering 5-star service. Am I right about that? So to Uber and Lyft, let me say this for the hundreds of drivers with me today and the thousands across our city. The determination and honesty of these drivers of our city does not stop when they clock out. They have never gotten tired, never given up on our movement for workers' rights. and for every worker in this city, not just our drivers alone. Because there is dignity in the work our drivers do. Our broad coalition, from drivers to deliveristas to street vendors, that's right. We all know it well, and it's why we're ready to win again. It's why New Yorkers never listened to Uber and Lyft's fear-mongering. They tried to make New Yorkers scared of drivers, but they will not succeed. We will protect the drivers who move our city, the ones who take out loans to get the right car and put gas on their credit cards, the ones who sacrifice all they do simply to put their children to college, through college, to pay for daycare, to pay their rent or their mortgage. This is why they do the work that they do. We will protect our drivers. We will protect all workers from corporate greed. And we will send a message to workers across this country. When we pass this bill, the historic bill to end unfair firings or deactivations of drivers, when we overrode the veto of this legislation, this was a win not just for workers in this city, but across the country. Across the world, we have sent a message about what the labor movement can do. And we will show once again that this nationwide movement to end unfair firings for drivers, we will keep winning. We will keep winning, and sisters and brothers, we shall overcome, and we will overcome. So much.
I support, but this guy's fake.
Driver power! Driver power! Driver power!
Drivers power! Drivers power! Guys, we have to tell the people that Uber is lying on us. Uber is lying! Uber is lying! Lyft is lying! Lyft is lying! Every liar is a thief! Every thief is a liar! Guys, we're here to fight. Follow me through, please. Uber is lying! Uber is lying! Every liar is a thief! Every thief is a liar! Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Milan. So, as we're fighting to end these unfair deactivations, which again is a fancy Wall Street word for when Uber Lyft drivers are fired overnight. We're fighting to end these unfair deactivations at a moment in our economy when we have high inflation, when drivers are seeing less trips. A recent report came out.
Keep up. Keep up. So Christopher's heckling the deliveries. When they're speaking, he's going to do it again. All right, you hear me? Yeah. Get ready.
I love it. Every single Uber and Lyft driver, trips are down. Every driver is doing less trips. Meanwhile, the same data found that the total number of trips that Uber and Lyft are dispatching has actually gone up. So the companies have more trips. They're making more money from each of these trips. Meanwhile, each driver is left with less. And the drivers are left with less during a time when tourism is down, when inflation is still high, and it's difficult to just keep up with all of your bills. Meanwhile, in that environment, in that reality, which means everything you earn, you're just spending immediately. And you're having to choose how much you spend on the grocery line and how much you spend at the gas pump. And for many drivers, it means you pay for the gas pump first and you're left with less when you pay for the groceries. And in this environment, in this reality, is when these companies are still continuing to deactivate without notice, without just cause reason, without the right to an independent appeal. While they're making more money, the drivers continue to be left behind. And so when we fight for a victory to end unfair deactivations, it's a victory in the end for a better life. It's a victory that says to these companies, you cannot dominate the drivers. You cannot keep up with the business model that only exploits the drivers. It says to the companies that when you build an industry where the workers have rights and decency and dignity and fairness on the job, it is better for everybody. We want to be here to remind the lords at Uber and Lyft that for far too long, when your riches have risen, it's because you have stood on the shoulders of the drivers to push them down. But in our destiny is linked your destiny. When drivers rise up, these companies lose nothing. They gain an industry that is better for everybody. And so we came out here because we know in order for them to hear us, they need to see us. And maybe when the drivers are in that front seat, all these companies see are the dollar signs. But being out here on the streets, we want them to look into our eyes, to see the children, to see the families, to see the relatives and the neighbors, the small businesses that all depend on the ability of the drivers to survive and to have a dignified work life. So, brothers and sisters, our next speaker has been the voice of our movement in these last 3 years. Our brother has spoken the pain to power, the truth to power, and he is one of the reasons that we have even reached this far in our campaign, where, as Councilman Krishnan said, we won our bill not once, but actually twice. We won it on December 18th of 2025, when the City Council voted overwhelmingly to pass Intro 276. After Eric Adams vetoed the bill, we won it again January 28th of this year, when the veto was overridden, and finally the bill became a law. And now that the law is supposed to go into effect on July 28th, these companies have sued to stop the law, and they're asking for the judge for a preliminary injunction, which means the law would be put on hold. Shame! 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 The court hearing is in 2 days from today, on Thursday at 500 Pearl Street at 10 a.m. We're going to be back inside that courtroom. Wherever these companies are, we're going to follow them. We are not backing down. We are not demoralized. We are not depressed. We are angry. We're angry. And we are determined to win this fight. So, brothers and sisters, it is my honor to turn this microphone over to the man that has really been the voice of this campaign, the voice of this victory, our brother Saif Aizah.
Woo!
Driver power!
Union power!
No driver!
No Uber!
Greetings everyone, my name is Saif Aizah, and let me tell you the story and what I went through when Uber unfairly deactivated me. Right after COVID, it was hard to work in the city. So I went to Baltimore, Maryland, and after 1 month, after background investigation, Uber finally opened my account, and then I tried to upload my insurance card, and right away they deactivated my account. So I came back to New York, I went to the Green Light Hub, I brought the physical card and I proved it to them, and then they turned around and said, well actually, that was not the reason you was deactivated. The reason was you have
double account. You have an account in New York City and an account in Baltimore, Maryland. So how was that when Uber did a 1-month investigation on me and gave me the account? So basically what happens there, I could not work. I have a loan of $65,000. I have rent to pay. My mental health went so bad. The stress and the financial stress I had was enormous, to the point that I have to file for bankruptcy. And this is what Uber and Lyft have to know, that when somebody gets deactivated, it's not just the driver. They have a family they gotta feed. They have bills to pay. I have to file for bankruptcy. And I will have to realize that we already have won, and we will win again. Shame on Uber. The many lives that you have destroyed, Uber. You have to realize that all these millions that you make is from the back, in the blood and the sweats of these drivers. And all of a sudden you have the audacity, and no shame on you, to go back in court and try to go against this bill that protects the drivers. This is our right. We are the one that pays for everything. We pay for the car. We risk our lives every day. We work day and night. We work in dangerous neighborhoods, and our lives is at risk. And Uber only looks at us like a dollar sign. Thank you for everybody that showed up. Thank you for Councilman Shekar, Krishnan, and thank you for all the media. And union power!
Driver power!
No driver!
No Uber!
Shame on Uber!
Shame on Uber!
Shame on Uber!
Thank you, brother. All right. Our next speaker, today standing with us, we have many allies from the workers' rights, the civil rights movements. And so I'm going to be calling up our first allies, our brothers and sisters with whom we share the streets, we share this campaign, we share the struggle, we share the victories. Our brothers and sisters